blessings, all souls. So much, man, so much. Still here in the hospital. Can't wait to go home. Believe me, everything's good. Our boy is healthy, way healthier than he was. Seems like we will be going home any day. Can't wait for that. And I can't wait for that because I'm willing to do whatever it takes for him to be perfectly healthy. So that's a blessing. More of the actual philosophical matrix. Some of this Charlie stuff that's bringing up things. What it really is evoking is these tribal, social, philosophical instincts to defend perspectives. It evokes these reactive, compulsory positions that it's like how people are defending themselves socially and philosophically. The way that is happening is almost more of the issue than the things that they're happening about. Basically, like how someone shows up once these arguments happen, that ends up inflaming the argument topic more than the topic itself. It's like the topic was vulnerable, but how individuals show up once the conversation starts, it's, oh, now the way you showed up about the topic is its own topic, which doubles the issue. And so I'm about to post this video on my story, and it's like this highlight reel of all these things that Charlie has said that are like, if you just clip these, it don't look great. Anytime a white person, which someone could clip me as I'm about to say this, anytime a white person says the word blacks, doesn't look good. We're in a moment right now where it is not socially appropriate to speak plainly cross-tribally. If a black person says whites do this and whites do that, that person could be said as racist if they are clipped in that moment. If a white person comments and does it from a socially tone-deaf way that is not sensitive to that demographic or that tribe or that sub-social sect's sensitivity, if they're not sensitive to that sensitivity, if a white person is not sensitive to the more sensitive amongst a black group's perspective, when they say that, now inflames into its own thing. And I've seen black people who just hate white people. Just like we've all seen racist, terrible, soulless people who are white who dislike people of other color. The weird thing is we're in a moment of overcorrection because we have come from, and I think this is really the core crux of the whole Christ conscious Aquarian blueprint topics integration into this topic. We're talking about spiritual, philosophical, integrating into social, philosophical. If they're not integrated, what the fuck are we talking about? Does it have any utility if we don't integrate that? I don't think so. If it's just social, we're chasing our tails. If it's just the spiritual, it's called spiritual bypassing, and if a white person does it, it'll probably be called privilege bypassing, etc. Yeah, there's this place now where there's an overcorrection, and it is like somehow, because people of color have experienced such trauma, there's this politically correct approval or allowance of, you call it reverse racism, and that even has been said that can't exist, which to me is the definition of racism that would allow reverse racism not to exist. This is all funneled away from the manifestation of colonialism. If you ask me, I'm doing my best to reverse engineer some of these arguments and philosophical disagreements. How did we get here? I think the topic is colonialism. Because of colonialism, when Caucasian, Anglo-Saxon lineage people, white people, are coming from a Jesus-centric place, which is a colonial philosophy, it is what it is. This is why I speak about Christ consciousness and the Aquarian blueprint, being an indigo kid, being part of the indigo Aquarian Christ template. It's different than Jesus-centric Christianity. Why? Because Jesus-centric Christianity is part of the WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, colonial, murderous, carnage-based lineage. So if you're coming from this, and God bless him, but Brother Charlie was coming from a Jesus-centric, you could say a colonially centric perspective. When he says there are murderous blacks looking to hurt white people, bro, there are. some. There are also that of white people. But the fact that we can't say that means we're in a socially sensitive place. That it's like, you can't talk about that if you're over there. How can we move forward if we can't? That is why someone like me, Sister Freedom, Brother Bentinho, Brother Sadhguru, I'm not super educated on a big list of people who are doing it in a super high level way. I love how Candace Owens talks. Am I conservative leaning? I think so. Am I also a trauma-informed, somatic therapy-informed yogi who's hesitant to identify as Caucasian American or conservative? Why? Because of the Indigo Christic Aquarian blueprint thing. Because my hyper-identification within any subgroup prevents me from being able to connect and understand empathetically, somatically to another brother or sister on the other side of any one of these identity bridges. And that's one of the things I mainly see, is that there's these identity bridges. And if someone approaches another group person on the other side of their identity bridge, which tribalistically you get placed on because of your skin tone, pigment, genetic lineage, heritage. If you don't approach the other side of the identity bridge in an appropriate way, that bridge is incinerated upon walking it. I see a lot of this reactivity towards Charlie because he did it in a way that wasn't socially, quote unquote, politically correct. But look at brother's face. There's some of this geometry of autism that caused him to look right through these politically correct thought forms. A social boundary is a thought construct, perceived psychologically, energetically, psychosomatically, somatically, empathetically, and therefore emotionally. And so bro was like not the softest delivery, right? And yet bro is seeing really clearly those topics are a lot of times based on, it's like, that shit is not going to move forward if we're just tiptoeing on eggshells around these topics because they're laden with trauma, because they're rooted in trauma identities. So from a nonviolent communication perspective, from a decolonialization perspective, bro is definitely not the most bedside table manner friendly. He has ways of approaching race, the border, Israel, Palestine, and guns that are not socially approved as gentle. Look at the math. How much progress is being made karmically? You could say, was he so aggressive that now that's why he got taken out? Yes, and because he made so much progress on these topics in 10 years, even though he was taken out, the ripples of his karmic structure are still going to be doing incredible work for who knows how much time. So is that also the Christ character? Is that the Bodhisattva? It's basically saying, I know the truth, I see the truth, I speak the truth, I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. And I'm willing to hurt your feelings because I know that I see clearly, and I'm willing to have you dislike me because I know the truth will set thee free. And even if I have to not make it to the other side of that time when it comes, I have a dream and I have been shown. Those are some of the thoughts I'm seeing just based off of these highlight reels. I have people sending me of Charlie was a bigot and a fascist and a racist. I'm like, man, I don't see that. I can see how you see that, but I don't think that is the wholeness of the truth. I can see how your tribal identity perceives him as that. Even if you see me as a racist, or even if you see me as blind, I can see how you see that I'm blind. I don't believe I'm blind. And even my ability to say, hey, I'm open to you telling me how you think I'm blind, I'm pretty sure that ensures I'm not blind. If I'm open to you telling me how I'm wrong, I'm willing to have a conversation about it. I'm empathetically open to receiving your perspective and being wrong. I think that's how this thing moves forward. And if there's anything Charlie didn't do perfectly, he was more assertive than receptive. He was more masculine philosophically, and that's that Abrahamic colonial Jesus perspective. There are poisoned reverse false light programs that have instructed a great deal of our population to misperceive certain binaries and reverse them and prioritize the identity born from trauma paradigms, and they're not rooted in true light. are rooted in an identity that is spawned from pain. And that deserves its own validity as well. That needs to be allowed and that needs to be nourished. To what extent can we force those pain-based identities onto others? This is a complicated topic. And this guy was out on the front lines doing it fearlessly. I don't know how you could see that as spreading hate. I guess I do know how you could see it as spreading hate, but you'd have to be closed off to the wisdom. From a non-dual perspective or a law of one perspective, he was not, quote unquote, compassionately speaking empathetically towards certain pain bodies in different tribal communities from the lower Dantian up into fourth density. He was missing some, quote unquote, social empathy cues in the heart chakra. And he was seeing really clearly from Vishuddhi, from Ajna, and he was getting a template. So he was really activated up here. He was super steady at the base. And then tribally, he was, I would say, still oriented towards a polarity doctrine where it makes others wrong a bit more than it's interested in hearing why others have aligned into those, quote unquote, vantage points perceived as wrong. Instead of empathetically assisting them, it was more about bullet pointing why they're wrong, which is a more masculine, Abrahamic Western philosophy. Less holistic, more assertive, more masculine. It is part of that patriarchal, colonial trauma perspective. So bro was coming from his own trauma. America has its own trauma. Is Rocco defending him? I don't feel I'm defending him. I'm interested in observing why the mechanics of the argument occur. Why the social, philosophical, tribal herd disarray occurs. It looks like pure chaos. It looks like it's not happening with any rhythmic cadence. But upon further inspection, Raja Yogi, Kriya Yogi, Siddha, Christic, why does that chaos occur? What is the harmony remedy? And what is the real geometric instigation? Geometric meaning it's coming from a particular angle. Instigation meaning the catalyst and the cacophony occurs in a shared space. It's difficult to get it out. Let me know if this makes sense. Doing my best to articulate as my heart is called to. And I'm open to being wrong. Love you.